Hey everyone, Jeremy here. It is Thursday night, and we're going to create some art. It is going to be awesome. Good to see you guys again. Welcome to the show. Um, uh, Maybe you're wondering what we're working on tonight. That's a great question. So I have this set of pens, and I barely ever use them. So I was looking at these today, and I'm like, maybe I should do something with those. It's just been a while. I like to stay in practice with some of the different art tools that I use, some of the different mediums, and just so that I don't really like forget how any particular medium works or how it feels or something like that. Um, like I have to come back to doing a coffee picture before too long, just because I feel like it's been a while since I've done one of those. But tonight I was looking at those pens and I'm like, it's been a while since I worked with those pens. And then like earlier in the day, I was looking out the window where we have a bird feeder in the front yard, and we were getting a lot of robins coming in and eating bird like feed out of the feeder. So I'm like, I haven't done a bird in a while either. So bird pens, let me give this a shot. So that's what we're working on tonight. Um, I see there's a couple of people in the room already. Rome Dog says he's pulling a double today, so he's going to be popping in when he can. We got Kevin in the room. It is Thursday already. Yeah, it's crazy. Um, the best thing about Thursday though is you go to bed after this show and you wake up in the next day and it's already Friday. So that's the good news. Um, yeah, so I'm just going to hop right in. If you guys want to chat with me while I'm doing this, great. Otherwise, just enjoy the show. And, you know, I do hope that more people chime in. I know that there's more people who watch this show than actually chat. Feel free to chat. Like, nobody's going to bite your head off. We're all pretty easygoing people here. I know I am. Um, I'm not, like, I'm a kind of a self-taught artist, so if you've got questions, I'll try my best to answer them, but I am not an expert on any of this stuff. I just kind of try my best and see how it goes. But I have done this for a while, and I do have maybe some tips and stuff. So, like, if you have some questions, they're not too complicated. Feel free to ask. I mean, ask the complicated ones too. I'll just tell you I don't know. I mean, I'm not one of those people that have to know everything. It doesn't bother me to say I don't know. I say it all the time. I don't know. And, it's all fine. Yeah, I almost didn't come in today. I was gonna put this off until tomorrow because I was thinking about going down to this art gallery that has free jazz music tonight. It sounded really cool. They had I saw it on Reddit, and they had a like a preview sample of the music, and I was like, man, they rock. Well, not rock, they jazz, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what the term is for people who are really good at jazz, but they can play. There you go. So I was gonna go down to that, also because they have like some pretty cool exhibits there at the gallery, but I didn't. It just kept getting later and later, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I don't really feel like getting in the car and heading out there. It's about a half hour away from where I live, so. But that's what I was gonna do. I thought it was gonna be cool. I do like drawing in pens. I don't do it all that much, but Kevin says I'm looking forward to going to the Ansel Adams exhibit in Cincinnati soon. Is that going on now? Like, is that a thing now, or is that at the Cincinnati Museum? Because if so, hell, we should go together, Kevin. That'd be cool. But yeah, I'd love to do that. I love Ansel Adams. That's a nature photographer who is really, really good. You you have probably seen Ansel Adams' work at some point. I don't know. Like a lot of people don't know artists that they're actually familiar with. Like I joke all the time that my niece didn't even know who Leonardo da Vinci was, and she's a smart girl. So it's okay if you don't know who Ansel Adams is, but you probably have seen Ansel Adams' work. It's that famous. It's like a lot of nature photography, a lot of like leaves and things like that. But yeah, Kevin, we should definitely make an effort to do that. That'd be really cool. Kids in the house, yay! We got okay, Larry. Kid, I was gonna reply to your email about your gate. That is messed up that you got that much damage. I saw your Georgia Bulldog flag as well on your gate. I thought that was cool. Um, a lot of the people I knew when I lived in Atlanta, they were all Bulldogs fans. The other half of them were all Yellow Jacket fans, so but mostly Bulldog fans. But yeah, I'm glad everybody's safe out there because like man, that was a terrible storm. So yeah, I like drawing in pens, and these pens are really nice. I don't know what I paid for them. I think it was like under $10. I'll leave the name brand up here in case you want. Like they're pretty generic. I don't even think they're like the ones that people normally use. Like I don't know, like professionals or whatever. I just bought these and I've been really super happy with them. I left one out, the like brush one here. It's got like a really nice brush tip to it, but I left the cap off of it and it dried out. So like that's what kind of sucks about it. I'm like down one pen, but beyond that, I love these these pens. They're great. I do have some watercolor over here. I'm not sure if I'm going to get to that part, but I am going to add splashes of color to this. It's not going to be all black and white, although predominantly it is. My strategy is to put a lot of black and white ink in this and then kind of like maybe splash the colors or something like that. All right, I hate doing beaks when there's like this line across, and I can't draw a straight line to save my life, but I'm gonna try to put it in there like gingerly. There's a line that kind of comes across here. Again, this is supposed to be a rabbit, not a rabbit, robin. It's not a rabbit. This is supposed to be a robin, so hopefully it comes out looking like that. Um, I was looking through some of the birds that right now it looks kind of funny because it doesn't have, anyway, it looks kind of funny so far. Um, I was looking through all the different birds that I've done. So I've done like, I don't know, like really big birds. I've done, no, yeah. I'm gonna put in a rabbit ear. That's what it's gonna be. You've seen I'm sure people have seen the duck optical illusion where it's a rabbit and then you turn it on the side and it's a duck. That's what I'm doing here. I was looking through all the bird pictures that I've done, and I haven't done any smaller birds. Like I've done big birds like eagles and like a big old. I've done a couple of parrots. I did an eagle that looks like a turkey. It's supposed to be an eagle, but to me it looks like a turkey. Uh, yeah, but I haven't done any like smaller birds, so I wanted to do this. Plus, you know, like I said, they've been hanging around my bird feeder. They're adorable. I like them. The dogs like watching them. The cat loves watching them. I don't know if you guys have cats that do the little chittering thing where they're like they uh they kind of chitter at them because they can't get to them and it frustrates them. That's my cat. That's what my cat does. State bird of Michigan. I didn't know that. My dog's yelping in the back because it's having a dream. I don't know if you guys can hear that. State bird of Michigan. Also a friend to Batman. I'm sure you guys have seen Robin from the DC Comics outfits over the years. I am so glad that they kind of returned him to a more Robin looking outfit where he's got black and kind of a maroon like vest and everything. That whole yellow and green costume where he's basically wearing underwear running around fighting crime, that was not good. He had that costume, I don't know, decades, but it was not great. So now that they've got a better Robin, I think he's got like a dark cape and like the underside of his cape is the underside of his cape maybe yellow now. I don't know. It's gone through a couple of iterations. I am not sponsored by this company, by the way, that does these pens. I just like them, you know. Like if I like a product, um, you know, I don't mind talking about. Like I forget most of the brands that I use. Um, a lot of them are kind of like generic brands and stuff, but I like these pens. They were cheap on Amazon, so I'm going to recommend those. I got them because they were a pretty comprehensive set for like pretty inexpensively. Just looking around, like the other brands I got like this Liquitex um, stuff. I like the Liquitex. You guys see me use that all the time. When it comes to like the actual watercolors and stuff, I don't know. To me, I don't have any fancy watercolors, so I can't recommend a brand on that. I just use what I've got. I think they're like Artist Loft or something. I think they came from like Michaels. They're not fancy. When it comes to like the pastel pencils, I've got Derwent pastel pencils. I forget the brand of the sticks I've got. I don't know. When in doubt, go with the cheapest stuff, and go with the cheapest stuff with the most positive reviews. There you go. That's a good winning strategy. Because like if it's got like a lot of positive reviews, then you know it's going to be good regardless of the cost of it. So that's my strat. And then you might end up being surprised at how good it is compared to like some of the more expensive stuff. I, you know, I am not a professional artist. I don't do this for like a living or anything like that. So there are some brands maybe that I hear other professional artists use and stuff, and I have a look at them. But if I was doing something that I really wanted to to last forever, right? Well, first off, if I was doing that, I probably wouldn't use half the stuff I use. But if I was trying to make something really, really last forever, I would definitely go on the quality side. So, like, if I'm doing work for somebody else, also, I think I owe it to them to use really quality material. If I'm just goofing off and I'm just drawing a bird, just to practice drawing a bird, I don't care what I'm using. That's one of the reasons I like painting with coffee because coffee is like ubiquitous. Anybody can pick up some coffee anywhere, you know. You can be like a homeless guy living on the street and still pick up some coffee and, have fun being a street artist. Like, and then also coffee does like have staying power. It's not like I invented coffee painting. Other people have been doing it for a long time, and you know, it holds up. Uh, I spray mine with like UV protection just to make sure, but I don't even think that's necessary. I had like an early coffee painting I did for a friend. They kind of kept it in like direct sunlight, and it was in a frame and stuff, but it wasn't anything special. That thing still looks just as the same as like the day one that I did it. So okay, we work late sometimes. Okay, I won't be home until 9. I want it hot off the grill for. What are you guys talking about? You're firing up the grill. That sounds good. Chicken wings in the air fryer tonight. That sounds good too. That sounds great, actually. Man, I want some chicken wings now. Don't talk about chicken wings when I'm drawing a bird. I mean, that's like cannibalism or something. Like, it'd be like if I was drawing a cow and you guys were like, "Man, I want some steak." It's like, I don't know, rude. Hey, MJ, how you doing? We're drawing a robin, so I know it doesn't look like it yet, but it is going to come together eventually. It's going to be a pretty bird. What's that from? Dumb and Dumber? Pretty bird. So like sometimes I go looking for because I'm not like a great artist. I'm not like a professional artist. I'm not any of that stuff. But I want to be, right? Or at least I want to be close to that. I want to be better, actually, right? So sometimes I go and look up, well, what do classically trained artists draw, right? So like, if I went to art school, what would I be drawing? And since I really enjoy doing like wildlife pictures, what specifically do like wildlife people draw? And birds come up a lot. So do fish, and I haven't done any fish. So I'm trying to dig deep, deep into my artistic soul, and get out my comfort zone and do things that I'm not used to. I mean, I can do like I do dogs. Yeah, everybody loves it when I draw dogs, but Gotta be able to draw it. Like, what if somebody has like a bird as their pet or something, and they have like a deep attachment to that bird? I need to be able to draw a bird and like lizards. I don't know, like definitely lizard. So the process here is I'm just really kind of like hashing with the pen, not unlike what I would be doing with the pencil, except that you can't really erase it. You have to be like kind of a little bit careful. But you know, it is kind of the same um, pencil principles. So like, you know, I can lightly draw with this pen and not have to worry about screwing things up because I can come back over it with some deeper hashes. So like also this is like an 8. I don't know what that refers to. I don't know if that's like 8 millimeter or it just says 8 on it. So this is the number 8. Um, I can come back over it with like a darker thing if I really want to like darken some, get some darker values up in here. But right now it's just like any of my pencil or charcoal drawings. I have to kind of like feel myself around and figure out where all the details should be. In many ways, this takes a little bit longer than one of those because you can come in and add like large swaths of places with charcoal. You can't really do that with this. Now, if you had like a brush and ink and all that stuff, you could do that, but I don't really do it. Robins are pretty birds, male. I don't know what these are. What are the red-breasted ones? Is that female or male? Like I'm drawing the red-breasted birds that I see out at my feeder. I don't know if these are male or female. Just basically like all this area down here is like kind of like this orangish red. Yeah, it's red. Oh yeah, it's not blue. This is yeah, this is a red robin. Yeah, I'm not sure if there's a bunch of different types of robins. I should have been more clear because I don't really know. This is a red-breasted robin. Yeah, their eggs are blue. I know that. Yeah, the robin's eggs taste awesome. I'm not talking about like real robin's eggs. I'm talking about the candy. Like I love that at Halloween. Robin eggs. So good. Jimmy, I thought they were orange and blue breasted. The one I'm looking at, it's kind of like orange breasted, maybe a little bit of green in it. I don't know if the green is from like reflection or not, but they kind of have like gray heads and like red breasts. Pretty sure this is a robin. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I'm not like a ornithologist. What are the bird scientists? Orna Yeah, ornithologist or something. I don't know. I should really look things up before I do this stuff. Come on here and make an ass of myself. Or ornithologist, I think. That's what I'm going with. So when you're drawing in pen, because you're not blending things out, you have to be very careful about what direction your lines go. So the way you show, you know, texture and stuff like that, like where you show how the bird's feathers are going and stuff. That's you drawing in a particular direction. And it's just kind of like, hashing it in. When dog says, "Yeah, you got it right on orny somethingist." Orny somethingist. That's the technical term. Orny somethingist. There's probably like actual ornithologists or something watching this being like, "Man, these guys suck." It's like I work so hard for a living and these guys can't even pronounce the name of my occupation. Male robins have brighter colored chests than the female, just like cardinals. The male is pretty red. Yeah, I should do a cardinal too. I love cardinals. We have a couple of cardinals that pop in. I don't know all the different birds. Like I love birds. I love watching these guys almost compete for the food and the bird feeder, but I don't know what they all are. I know obvious ones that are like popping in all the time. Like I know the robins. There's a blue jay every now and then, not as much. There's these black ones that kind of have this I don't know if you guys remember the jackets back in the 90s that had like multicolored like looks to them. Like they were like sleek kind of jackets. I want to say Oakley made them, maybe the people who make the sunglasses, and they were like multicolored or something depending on how the light catch them. There's some birds that come to my bird feeder that are like that. They're all black, but depending on how the light catches them, there might be like hints of green up in there or blue or things like that. I don't know the name of those. Males are always more attractive. That is not true, but that is not a true statement, MJ. The males are not always attractive. In fact, I would argue definitely that the females of the species are always more attractive. When it comes to human beings, we us guys, we come in all shapes and sizes, and not all of them are good. I just watched The Good, the Bad, the Ugly the other day, and it's kind of rude to call what was his name? Tuco. It's kind of rude to call Tuco ugly, but he does not have flattering features, so I guess it's fine. Tuco Ramirez, that was it. Yeah, and then Clint Eastwood's character is Blondie. I think that's just his name. Like I don't think he has like any. Well, that was a nickname anyway. I don't think he actually has a name. And then the bad guy, Angel Eyes, something like that. I don't know his actual name. That sounds like a nickname. I don't. I don't think a kid gets born and the mother called him Angel Eyes. That could be a thing, but I don't know. Maybe in Hollywood. Those are grackles. I'm gonna have to look that up, Kevin. I don't know what a grackle is. I think I have like deep down inside of me like a bird watcher wanting to like spring forth because I like the whole concept of it. So that treasure hunt that I was talking about, the project Skydrop, that just ended by the way. Somebody found it yesterday, maybe the day before yesterday, which is kind of sad because I know a couple of people were planning on going and looking for it this weekend. Um, but that whole going out in the woods and looking for something, I like that. And I'm not a hunter, so I'm not going to go out in the woods and hunt animals or anything like that. But as far as like tracking down a bird out in the woods and stuff, I could get into that. Or being like a wildlife photographer, I could totally get into that, like stalking animals and stuff, just like you're hunting, but not for the purposes of like, you know, killing them. Um, I could totally get into like bird watching. Like to be, I could be that guy out there with the binoculars, like, oh, that's a what are we calling it? Grackle. That's a cute grackle. I could get into that. That'd be fun. Like, hark, do I hear a grackle? I shouldn't make fun of like bird watchers. It's a noble hobby. Like I said, I'm primed for it. That sounds like something I would really be into. So here in the head, you got like this kind of darkish area here, and then it kind of comes down. So even though you're just using a pen and stuff, you still make um, different lines denser. So like the more lines you put in a closed-in area, I gotta fix this eye. He's looking weird. Um, but the more lines that you put together and stuff, like the more dense it becomes, the darker it looks. Even though like they're all the same lines, they're just like densely packed. They're like closer together, and that's how you kind of create with pen, so shadows and so on, and different areas of different values. So I'm really trying to get the head done in a reasonable amount of time. I feel like pen and ink always takes me longer than drawing in pencil or charcoal or something like that. But I really hope they explain the solution to what did I miss? It was buried for 40 years. What are you guys talking about? What's buried for 40 years? Oh, are you guys talking about the one that ended, the treasure hunt that ended with the owl? Because that one just ended too. I saw that one. That was like 30 years or something. Yeah. Jeremy might even wear makeup since he's on camera. Yeah, I got like eyeliner now. I don't wear makeup. Hey, I'm secure in my masculinity. I have no problem wearing makeup. I would wear makeup if there was a need to, like for Halloween or something like that. I'm not opposed to makeup, but no, I do not wear makeup. Just because a guy wears makeup for like Hollywood or to be on TV or something like that doesn't mean anything about them. It's not as big a deal as they make it out to be. Um, yeah, everybody says JD Vance wears eyeliner. I've been looking really hard. It's kind of ambiguous to me. I don't know if he wears eyeliner or if that's just the way his face looks. I guess it's possible. But he's on camera, so like if that's his brand or whatever, more power to him. A lot of like rock stars and stuff, they wear eyeliner. Rock stars are cool, right? You like rock stars? Like literally, it's kind of a label that you give to people who are awesome. It's like, wow, you're a rock star. MJ said JD Vance doesn't wear eyeliner. He might. Everybody's like, I don't know. I've been looking because like people said that. I don't think he does either. I think it's just the way his eyes look. But um, but since people said it and stuff, I kind of been, it's one of those things like, yeah, I don't really care. Like that's his business. But it's one of those things where it's like, is he wearing eyeliner? And then you like look really closely and stuff, but you want to do it like in a way where it's not like awkward. Like if I was there in person and he was like trying to talk to me, it would get awkward because I'd be staring at his face and I'd be like, "Are you wearing eyeliner?" I wouldn't say that, but I'd be trying to figure that out, and it would just be an awkward. Like if I was like interviewing him, I'd be like, "So tell me your policy on whatever," and I'd be like, "Is that eyeliner?" I don't know. He probably doesn't wear eyeliner. MJ Jeremy listens to the wrong people. I don't listen to anybody. That's my problem. I don't. It's his black lashes against his blue eyes. Oh, okay. All right. That makes sense. I don't actually listen to anybody. These are just things that pop up in my Reddit feed. So I do go on Reddit a lot, and like I don't really get my news from Reddit. It's just like you see these topics pop up every now and then. Uh, Most of the news that I get on Reddit is for like Marvel movies that are coming out or something like that. I don't try to follow politics. Politics just comes my way. And because where I live, like I live in Kentucky, and uh, I always make the joke that Kentucky uh, bleeds blue and votes red. And the reason why is because like if you're a UK fan, a Wildcat fan, the thing is like you bleed blue, right? So Kentucky is the state that bleeds blue, but then we always vote red. So that's my joke. My joke is like we're the state that bleeds blue and votes red. So I end up getting like a lot of like news about what Republicans are up to just because of where I live. I don't follow it. I don't care. Like I I'm I'm disgruntled by the whole process. Like I really don't like politics at all. But just because of where I live and the people around me and stuff like that, I get uh I get a lot of that kind of stuff. It just happens, like you end up your friends your friends are into this stuff and they put you on like email lists and stuff, whether you want to be on them or not. It's nuts. Lorraine, I appreciate you asking. How's my cat doing? So my cat's over here. It's kind of hard to see. You can probably see like a little bit of his tail. He's doing good. He's still got the jaundice, so we've only been treating him for like a week now. He still has the jaundice, so it's hard for me to tell if his liver's getting better or not. I hope it is. It's been a week. We've been giving him the medication. Um, but he kind of still has that yellow tinge to his ears and stuff that you get when you have jaundice. So it's really hard for me to tell. His behavior is 100% better. So like this time last week, or maybe it was earlier last week. I don't remember. It's been like 10 days, but 10 days ago. There we go. 10 days ago, he looked like he was on death's door. I was really expecting to go into the vet and get it. Like, I don't know shit, right? So, like, you know, I didn't notice the yellow tinge to him. I didn't, even if I did, I wouldn't know what to do with that. The vet had to explain to me, well, that's a sign of like liver damage. And which makes sense. You know, I know what jaundice is, but it took the vet to explain to me what it looks like in a cat. So, and all I could like do is like just feel terrible. Like, how did I not notice? And get him help treatment sooner. But I think we were lucky because, you know, again, when we took him to the vet, he had lost like a lot of weight, and you know, he had these glassy eyes, and he was lethargic, and he just looked like he was on death's door. And I've lost so many pets over the years that I just, you know, expect the worst. And you know, I was so pleasantly surprised that he's rebounded like this, you know. Because even when the doctor was talking about it, like they were saying it was pretty serious, and they gave us options, like because he wasn't eating. That was the main concern of mine. That's what I really brought him in for. I didn't notice the jaundice, but he wasn't eating, and I was like, man, I, this cat is not eating enough calories to survive. Like I can do math, um, and like he is eating way too few calories. So that was my concern. That's why I took him to the vet, and I'm happy to report that he is eating fine, and that gives him a lot of energy now. He plays with the little light pointer now and stuff like that. He wasn't doing any of that, so I'm very happy. Thank you. I appreciate that. I really do. Um, you know, I don't know anything about like healthcare of pets or anything like that. I still consider it a serious condition, but I feel a lot better about the condition now. Like I wouldn't I don't want to like say he's out of the woods because I don't want to jinx anything, but I do feel a lot better about the way he looks and the way he's acting and stuff. So I appreciate you asking though. His fur still looks like this bird. It's like all wild and everything. Like he's an older cat. I didn't realize how old he was. Like I thought he was pretty young. But apparently we've had him for like 9 years, which is not, you know, it's still too young to have health problems. But nine is a, I wouldn't call him a geriatric kitty, but he's a little bit older than I thought he was. And you know, I just want the best for him. But yeah, he's doing better. He needs to clean himself a little bit more. His hair's all ragged and stuff. I want him to like like start licking his fur back into place and things like that. So be cool. And just says Jeremy, cats have 9 lives. Yes. So he's 9 years old and he has 9 lives. So he's really only 1 year old. That's the takeaway. All right. So I feel like this head's pretty good. I need to get some of this, the rest of this body in here, and then I'm going to add like a little splash of color. So the color, of course, is going to be down here. So I really need to get these wings in here. And again, you know, it does take a little while with ink, but I like the process. Like we're having a conversation here. I don't feel rushed. I don't I don't feel like I have to worry too much about the time. But I really just like drawing in ink. Um, you guys ever see those Zen gardens where they have I think I've talked about these before. I'm not like a Zen Buddhist or anything like that, but I dabble in like things of that nature. So like meditation and relaxation, things that calm people. I'm into that. Like I would say that I I like that kind of stuff. I'm just not very good at it. Like it is hard for me to relax. That's why I do a lot of this drawing stuff. It definitely helps me relax and stuff. But specifically in Zen Buddhism, they have the they had those not really rock gardens, but like sand gardens. I mean, there's rocks in it and stuff. I don't know the term for all this stuff. It would all be lost on me. I wouldn't be able to pronounce it even if I did, because I'm sure it's like a Japanese word, and I just suck at pronouncing other people's languages. Um, but whatever that's called, whatever that rock garden is called with the little lines in the sand. Anyway, they go out there and they draw these like little. They use a rake to like draw these little lines in the sand. It ends up looking like crop circles, sort of. I'm sure you guys have seen these things. I just don't know what they're called. But anyway, that's what this feels like. Like these little marks with the pen and stuff, just putting them down randomly and stuff like that, mindlessly almost. I mean, there's a method to it and stuff. I am applying some thought, but it's so like when you're driving down the road on an interstate and you've got like a 3 hour trip or something, your mind just kind of wanders. You're still conscious and you're still like focused on the road. Like if the person in front of you swerved or something, you would still react to it, but your mind's on autopilot. That's kind of how drawing is for me. Which for people who don't draw, that probably comes as a surprise. Um, like I can imagine people who don't draw look at this process and they're like, man, he is intentionally putting every single line down or something like that. And, for people who are better at drawing than me, maybe it's like, wow, that guy's a master. He must think about every single mark he makes and stuff. Honestly, like there's so many marks. Like I would never count them, but actually I should count them. That'd be fun. Um, but there's probably like thousands to like hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions in a larger picture of marks, right? So every time you put your pen down, that's a mark. Um, you're not thinking about every one. Um, thanks, kid. I appreciate that comment. Um, who cares says I think they're considered senior cats at like 10 or 12. Yeah, so he's still a young buck. That's not until like next year. Yeah, he's not a senior. He's a middle-aged cat. Anyway, so you're not consciously thinking about every single mark that you're making and stuff like that, which it's kind of meditative, like, yeah, okay, Larry, yeah, that's exactly it. It's like a mental release, you're just in the zone, like you're basically meditating when you're drawing and stuff. That's why I feel like not everybody does, but I feel comfortable doing a live stream and chatting with you guys while I'm doing it, because this to me is kind of like a mindless act. Like you see the guys in meetings where they're like doodling on napkins and stuff like that while the person's talking. They seem like they're not paying attention. That's kind of what this is. Um, I am able to like split my focus. I can talk to you guys and have a conversation, or even talk to myself really, while I'm doing this, because this is almost like a mindless act. It's almost like when you're driving down the road. Like when you're driving down the road, I mean, you can have conversations with people. I mean, you can eat like a Big Mac or something. Like you can have those chicken wings that kids making, um, and not worry about crashing, because like you really can split focus. You shouldn't be texting. Don't text. Don't drink and drive. Don't text and drive. But otherwise, you can split your focus. That's kind of how this drawing is. I think I might put some color up in this head, like when I go to do the watercolors. I don't know what that would look like though. I'm not actually using watercolor paper here. I'm using mixed media. I think it'll work with the watercolors if I keep it kind of dry. I don't want to put like too much water into it, but if I keep the paint pretty dry, it should work on this mixed media paper. Jeremy, split focus. I understand completely. Good. Yeah, sometimes I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just putting words out there and stuff, but in my mind, they make sense. So I'm glad they make sense to you as well. So I still don't know if this is a male bird or a female bird. My guess is that it's a female bird, but I don't really know. I didn't bother to look that kind of stuff up. I really should have. Like, I don't know what the like. This is what all robins look like to me. I didn't realize. Well, I guess it makes sense that there would be different versions of them, but in my mind, this is the only kind of robin out there. Like blue robins and stuff. That's interesting. I'm gonna have to look that up. I knew their eggs were blue because like they fall out of the nest all every year. I've got an apple tree in the front yard, and that's where the bird feeder is. But also, you know, that apple tree, the birds like nest in it all the time. And I normally wouldn't notice, except that I do go out and pick the apples. Like I just picked the apples like a few weeks ago, maybe. It's fairly recent. But anyway, the apples are terrible. Like the apples out of that tree, they are not good. But my dad and my brother like the apples because they make wine out of it. So I wouldn't eat those apples, but they make apple wine out of it, which is good. The apple wine is very good that they make. Um, they do that process. I think it's called pet nat, where they add bubbles to it. It's really good wine. Now, if Cabin's still in here, it's not as good as Weisberg, but it's still pretty good. Don't tell them I said it's not as good as that. They might be offended. I don't know. But yeah, my brother makes wine all the time. I wonder if I still have that. I made a wine label for them. I don't know. I don't think I have that close by. I've mentioned it before. I'm gonna have to remember to like have that out so that I can show you. It's pretty cool. Hey, Coopart, how's it going? Shout out to you. I haven't been to your channel yet. I need to do that. I'm gonna make a note of that because like every time you pop up, I'm like Coopart. That sounds like he has his own channel. So I need to go check that out. Um, Anybody else in the room wants to check out his channel, I always try to like whenever artists come through, I like to give them shout outs and stuff, just so that you know I know how hard it is to get people to notice your art and how important that is to artists to have you know that sort of public interaction. So if there's ever any artists who come through here that wants like a shout out, I mean I don't have like a ton of like viewers myself and everything, but you know, spread the love. I'm happy to give you a shout out. So everybody go check out Coupart's channel before I do because I haven't had a chance to. I'm sure it's amazing. If Kate got the 11 herbs and spices recipe from the Colonel cabin for chicken wings, I am going to be a little upset. I'm telling you, 11 the 11 herbs and spices and stuff. That's not the only good chicken around here. There's like a wide variety. MJ says, Jeremy, I love birds. Great. Awesome. I plan to do more of them. It's just like I said at the outset, I'm surprised I don't do more birds because I love birds myself. And they're so fun to draw. And like I said, every now and then I go digging around to see what real artists draw, and I try to incorporate that into like my little training sessions I do here. And you know, birds are ones that always pop up because people love birds, and they're so challenging to draw at times. You know, there's a lot going on here. You have feathers; they're going all different directions. You have colors. You have the actual structure of the bird itself. There's a lot to it to make it interesting and worthwhile to draw. Um, Rum Dog says 200 people died from the hurricane. I'm happy you guys are safe. I echo that, and I'm sorry if anybody out there lost anybody. Um, you know, when these things come through, it's it just sucks. They just kind of wreak havoc, and there's not much you can do about it. The only safe thing you can do is head for higher ground, and I know that's not always practical, but that is the I don't know. It's tough for me to like counsel other people on what they should do because I don't really know. Like I live in like basically the flatlands of Kentucky, the Appalachian areas. We got like a little bit of rolling hills and stuff like that. Most we get through here is like wind damage whenever a storm comes through. I mean, it's pretty excessive. We have a lot of wind damage, but in recent years they've actually been pretty good about putting things like power lines and stuff underground. It's not that way everywhere, so there's still places that the power goes out for a significant amount of time. But for the most part, they're they're making these kind of improvements. So I feel like I'm in one of those like lucky areas, but we did have some pretty bad wind. Like I said, a tree blew over in the backyard. And I spent the next day out there chopping that into little bits so that I can get it out of the way. But that doesn't even begin to compare to like people losing their lives and pets and like that 200 people died from the hurricane. They never actually talk about the pets. I mean, sometimes they do, but like that's not the big stat that they report. Which obviously keep things in perspective. It probably shouldn't be, but I would like to hear about the pets as well because they don't they don't get mentioned, and they really should because like the first responders who are out there saving people and as much as they can and stuff, they're trying to save the pets too. So like that's a win if they were able to like pick up a dog that's floating down a river or something like that. I don't know what happens during these things, but um, if there's a dog that's trapped under some debris and stuff, first responders they're going to try very hard to protect that animal as well. I mean, I love that aspect. Like you hear we talked about that last week, I think. You hear about these stories in the news. Those are some of the best feel good stories. When you hear that some firefighter or something like that, or like a copper or whatever, finds a dog that's been trapped and they're able to save it. And I love those stories. I really do. There's a lot of good people out there. Every time I get frustrated with things, and I try not to. I really try not to. I really try to live my life where I'm just in the zone, the Zen zone, and I'm just like trying to like enjoy life and things like that. I don't go looking for bad news or negative things. I can do without all of that stuff. But it pops in every now and then. I get frustrated. I'm human. Everybody is. Um, Whenever I get that way, I love hearing these good news stories. And there are a lot of like, yeah, there you go, Kevin. I forgot about that. Yeah, so that's great to mention as well. So like, there is a lot of equine. So like in these natural disasters, I used to work for the United States Equestrian Federation. That's the USEF that Kevin's mentioning. One of their main thing is that they are the national governing body of equestrian sports. So they make all the rules and stuff for like equestrian competitions. Like dressage and show jumping and all that stuff. They're the people who send the athletes to the Olympics. Anyway, that's the paragraph summary of what they do. But they do so much more. They actually are a charitable organization that is interested in general horse welfare, and not just them, but there's a lot of other organizations there are as well, like the Equus Foundation. I work really closely with them. Now that I'm not working at USEF, I actually work with some other horse organizations, just kind of like freelance. Equus Foundation is another great one. They support these programs so that like whenever there's a lot of times like out west there's like mudslides, things like that, things that affect wild horses, um, but also they're in North Carolina where a lot of this storm damage happened. I haven't looked into it, but I guarantee you USEF is supporting the equine efforts there in North Carolina because there is a lot of horses in North Carolina. You've got Tryon down there. They have like a real large equine community there. So yeah, it is awesome that there are organizations out there doing these things because horses are big animals, right? So like if you need to get a horse out of a jam, you can't just go out there with a I don't know, like a rope or something and pull a horse out of a mudslide or like a raging river or something like that. You need to coordinate some serious efforts. Um, and then after storm damage like this, maybe there's no place for the horse. Like they have to be re resheltered or something like that. Um, so these are things that I feel strongly about. Like if anybody else is interested, shoot me an email or something. I'll give you some links and stuff for places that you guys can if anybody's like looking for a charity to support, with the year wrapping up. over the next couple months, and you're like looking for places to put your charitable dollars so that you can get that tax write-off, if you're interested in supporting horses, I've got a list for you. And there's probably some very similar things for like dogs and cats and things like that. After a storm like this, you can imagine that there are a lot of animals who have or become displaced by these storms, and they're probably looking for homes and shelters and things like that. So um, I'm not going to tell you where to spend your money, but if you're looking for things like that as part of your charitable giving anyway, I know a lot of people do like those nice little tax write-offs at the end of the year. Um, there are some organizations out there that support animals in particular. So I will help point you in the right direction if I can. Kevin is a great resource for that. He works with the horse organization still, and he can point you in the right direction. I love horses, so like when it comes to like charitable organizations, of course I care about dogs and cats and stuff, but on the larger side, I love horses. Speaking of horses, War Horse is in here. He says 2 weeks ago, a Civil War reenactment gave me a 1946 reprint of John J. Audubon's 1830 The Birds of America. That is amazing. Yes. Um, I forgot about Audubon. Yeah, he's I guess he would be from the mid 1900s, or sorry, mid 19th century. There we go. I think he was based out of Charleston, South Carolina, and I think I saw his museum down there. I didn't get to go in it because when I was down in Charleston, we were down there drinking and having a good time and stuff like that. So like we were there in the middle of the night, just running around town. So it wasn't open at the time, but I always wanted to go back in there. I love Audubon's work. Keeping track of all the different birds and stuff like that. So I appreciate you mentioning that. That is a great get there. So congratulations there. All right, so we got kind of a bird going here. This is pretty cool. So like, how we doing on time? Yeah, we're still under an hour. Great. So I want to finish up these legs, and then I do want to get a splash of color in there. I gotta get his tail feathers, his butt feathers, as it were. But I love drawing in pens. So like I'm only using the one pen. I guess I could probably use other ones and stuff, but as you can see, a lot of detail, a lot of work up in this eye area. But then as you start moving away, you can get like, larger marks and stuff. So here, because it kind of comes down and like through here, like in its abdomen, I guess, um, you have like larger swaths of shadows and stuff like that. I want to kind of get that in there pretty quickly. And it's basically drawing 101 at this point. You have hatches, and then you just like cross hatches in order to get some darker areas in. And it's a little bit looser because like you're not trying to get the density. So the way you use pens, right? And you can do this with pencils as well, but um, it said FEMA was unable to help more. Yeah, so FEMA does help out sometimes with these animal rescue efforts and stuff, but like to Kevin's point and to kind of what I was hinting at is that there's specific organizations that help out with things like this. They probably work in conjunction with FEMA, but they are dedicated to just animals. So like I don't think so. Like, if they were doing like a rescue effort and they had like trailers out there and they were trying to like rescue a horse or something that was drowning, I don't think that they would like turn away a human. I don't think that like if a human was drowning and a horse was drowning, I don't think that they would just like abandon the human and save the horse. But they are specifically there to help the horses. So, um, you know, like obviously FEMA would have more resources, but these guys know their craft, right? So they are there to help, and I love that kind of stuff. And again, it's a great story. Like when they are successful and you hear about it, I want to say mudslides because that is something I recall. Like one in particular, there was mudslides out west somewhere, and they did save a bunch of wild horses. I don't know if it was USEF who did that or some other organization, but I remember it being a thing. Yeah, I remember a lot of times when I'm talking here, I'm talking from memories, and my memory is faulty, so it's the way I recall it at the time. I recall there being an organization that saved a bunch of horses from like a mudslide. Warhorse says it had someone's certificate for passing their junior catechism examination in the Diocese of Hamilton in 1952 inside the back cover. That's cool. So, an original Audubon book that was used by a student, it sounds like, back in the day. I love that. I've got a couple of antique books myself. I don't know the titles of them, but they're like from the early 1900s. I've got a bunch of Boy Scout books, so like that was the big thing. My dad, whenever he was at a book sale, like libraries have book sales of like old books and stuff like that, and then he frequents antique stores all the time. He would pick up as a collection like any kind of Boy Scout books because like we were in Boy Scouts, me and my siblings, and then he was also a scoutmaster, so he was into it too. So he kind of made this collection for himself, but he always thought like, well, like your kids grow up and stuff, you want to give them something. So he gave me his collection, and I still have it. And like a lot of these books are pretty cool. I got Boy Scout handbooks from like the 1920s, I want to say. I don't know. What's cool about that is like back then you actually did some of this stuff as like the Boy Scouts. Like in the 1920s, you really did have to know how to live off the land because like I don't know, there was civilization and stuff, but it only went so far. In the 1920s, people were like literally riding horses everywhere. Sure, there were cars, I think, but it's not like everybody had them. People had more horses and stuff. Like even if there were cars, they had to get out of the way for horses. Anyway, I ramble a lot on this show, don't I? But it's all in fun. Well, at least the storms are over, and this weekend should be better for people. I hope. I would love to go down to some of these places and help out in person. It is not that far from me to go down to North Carolina. Maybe that might be in the cards. I will look into it and see if there's any way I can help out. Because I go down there sometimes for like family stuff. I have family that lives in North Carolina and South Carolina. Just last year, I went to a wedding in North Carolina. It's so beautiful down there. Like when I heard that like all this weather damage and stuff happened in like Asheville, I'm like, not Asheville. Asheville's beautiful. I love Asheville. Asheville's amazing. Like I would live in Asheville if I wasn't living here. Asheville's great. But yeah, it sucks. Yeah, your mention of the examination certificate reminded me of the books I've got because they were school books as well. And that's kind of cool because they're like their names are written in it and it makes you wonder like who was this person? What was their life like? I think that's kind of fun. That's to me that's more fun than like looking into the life and times of a famous person. So like, you go looking into like Abraham Lincoln or something. Everybody knows Abraham Lincoln, George Washington, things like that, famous people, Benjamin Franklin, whatever. Leonardo da Vinci. You look into these people and you're like, oh, okay, that's really interesting. That person had a very defined life. They're etched into history. But it's really kind of cool when you open like an old book, like a really old book, and it was like somebody's like school book or something like that, and they had their name written in it in case they lost it or something. And the name is like I don't know, like John Smith or whatever the name is, and you're looking at that like, man, what is what was this person's life? Like if it's an elementary school book, this person was a kid. like in the 1800s or 1900s or whenever the book was. So like, what did they grow up to do? Like, what was their livelihood? Uh, did they apply that algebra that you've got in the book? That's kind of interesting. Kevin says, I heard tonight there will be no interstate travel between Tennessee and North Carolina at the end of 25. That is crazy. Yeah, that kind of stuff kind of lightweight freaks me out, to be honest. What you're describing is like how I felt like on 9/11, like when that happened. I remember distinctly standing out on a balcony I had at the time, looking up at the sky, and they're like being very conscious of the fact that there were no planes in the sky on 9/11, like when that happened. So when you say that like the entire interstate is shut down, that is crazy to me. That's like Walking Dead kind of stuff. Like they made that's that scene in Walking Dead where the entire interstate is just like empty. I don't like stuff like that. It makes me uneasy. It makes me think the world's coming to an end or something, apocalypse or something. I hate that. Yeah, but hey, whatever they need to do to help, like, the struggling people down there. It's terrible. I know here in Kentucky, like we get those natural disasters sometimes. You just want to help, especially out there in eastern Kentucky where there's flooding and things like that sometimes. So anything that they can do, anything that any of you guys can do, like we're doing on time. All right, we're an hour and in. So let me get these paws done. These little birdie feet. Obviously, they're not called paws, but all right. So I'm gonna come back to that tail feathers with a different pin. I'm gonna continue with this pin down to there. Get like I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on the details through here. Just kind of rough them in. Just want to make them in there. I do like birds. Birds are fun to draw. I am surprised that I haven't done more birds. And the birds I've done were like so large, like parrots and eagles and owls and stuff like that. I'm surprised I haven't done more of these guys. I am going to rectify that in the future with more birds. It was a 1946 reprint. You can find really cool old books and pieces of obscure personal history in used bookstores or estate sales. Yeah, I like how you put that personal history. That's what I like about it. So like when you find those old books, it's not just a book. It was somebody's book. It was, and they usually like put their name in it or signed it or like wrote notes in it and stuff. I love that. Like when you find notes in the margin, just something about history. So like I don't know. If I wasn't like a programmer or if I wasn't an artist, I think I would be like an archaeologist or somebody doing something with history. Not just because I'm like into Indiana Jones, but just because I'm fascinated by history. So like when you have an old object, especially something that's really old, like thousands of years old or something like that, and you hold it in your hand, you really do feel that kind of tangible connection to that historical figure that owned that object or held that object before you. I often talk about, since this is an art show, I had this profound experience when I was in. I consider it profound. I'm not a particularly religious person, so this is as close as it gets to me being having a profound mystical experience. But I was at the National Art Museum in Washington D.C. and I don't know like what artists there are to see there and stuff. And I was running a little bit late, and I asked the lady at the counter, like, "Look, I only have a little bit of time here before you close. What is the one thing that I should see? Because if I didn't see it, I would feel bad." And she's like, "Well, obviously the Leonardo da Vinci that they have there." And I'm like, "What? They have a Leonardo da Vinci?" It turns out this is the only Leonardo da Vinci that's on public display in North America. Like if you didn't see this, you'd have to travel over to Europe to be able to see one. And to me, that's like, oh, cool, I want to go and see it. So I go there, and I'm looking at this Leonardo da Vinci. It's not his best work. It's not. I forget the name of it and stuff, but it was a painting he did earlier in life, before he learned all of his skills and stuff like that. I mean, I don't want to like shit all over it because it's actually really good, and it is Leonardo da Vinci, and who am I to judge? But it's not his best work. Let's just say that. And you can look it up. It's the like I said, it's the only I don't remember the title of it, but it's the only one that's on display there, and it's really easy to find. And you'll see that it's not his best work. But anyway, so I go and I look at it, and I've told this story before, but it really was such a profound experience for me that like I feel the need to tell it again. That when I'm looking at this painting, it's behind glass and you can't touch it. You can't like obviously you can't touch it because they don't want you to like run off with it or anything like that. But it is like face to face and you can get like this close to it. It's behind glass and everything, but you can see that level of detail. Of course, online you can pull it up and it's in high resolution and you can get like a really high resolution look at it and stuff. But there in person is such a weird experience to be like that close to it. And you're looking at this painting by this master like 500 years ago or more, or whatever the date is. I don't know when he lived. Um, but you're looking at individual brushstrokes. Like there's in the background there's like a pine tree or something like that, and there's like little strokes making those happy little leaves as Bob Ross would call it, or happy little branches and stuff. And you're looking at these happy little branches that are laid by the master himself 500 years ago, Leonardo da Vinci. You can't help but feel that sort of connection to that painting and that time. You know, you can't help but be transported. It's almost like a time machine, at least a mental time machine. You can't help but be transported back to that time, and you're thinking about the moment. My sick kitty back there. You're thinking about the moment that that brushstroke was actually put there, because, like I said, you don't think about every individual mark that you make on the paper as an art. Now, maybe Leonardo da Vinci did, um, but that is not like a common thing for you to think about. So like when he made that little brush stroke, that little tiny thing that makes that branch and stuff, it's I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it really transports your your mind to a different time period, the time period of Leonardo da Vinci, and it's just so weird. It just stands out to me whenever I think about it. Like wow, like it is so interesting, and that's not the only one. Like that's probably the biggest one. Yeah, there you go, Kevin. I felt the same about seeing Monet's paintings. I didn't get it until I saw the works in person. That's exactly what I'm talking about. So like, um, you this experience I'm talking about isn't exclusive to like seeing Leonardo da Vinci's. It's just the most profound one that I can think of. But you know, you go to like a smaller museum, like Cincinnati Art Museum isn't really that small. They have a pretty good collection, but you know, you go there, they do have some Monets, they have Rembrandts, they have, you know, um, they have some of my favorite artists that I learned about through like the Forrest Fenn thing. They J. Sharp, um, uh, I think they have Nikolai Fetchin, but J. Sharp is a big one there at the Cincinnati Art Museum. Um, you go there and you look at these things and you see these individual brushstrokes, and it's just it's you know, you can't help but think about the artist who put them there. Give me 1 second to let this cat out because he sounds like he's about to croak. So give me 1 second. I will be right back. All right, sorry about that. I wanted to put the cat out because the cat's back there going, and it just sounds really bad. The cat's sick, you know, like he's gonna make weird, creepy noises, but um, he's fine. But yeah, so like Monet, one of my favorite painters. And so what I like about these specifically Monet and other impressionists is that they really do paint in like a loose style, right? So um, I love that aspect of it. So they paint in this loose style where they just kind of like just basically it just looks like they're just dancing on the page with the on the canvas with a paintbrush. And you know, it's hard to appreciate that when you look at a Monet. Like you look at it, like we live in the age of the internet where we're bombarded with images all the time. So it's really hard to appreciate art as a digital medium anymore, where you see these type of things all the time, and it's lost kind of like its visual value. I guess is a good way to put it. But when you're there in person, it takes on this extra dimension. Like I'm not the only one who's described this. It's been described before, but I feel it. And when you're there in person, you do have that personal connection to the art that you don't get from like seeing it online. Like you can go to Google and Google like the Mona Lisa, for example, and you'll probably get like a high resolution picture where you can like look at these individual details and stuff. But I've never seen the Mona Lisa in person, but that is that is a different experience, I feel. There you go. It's really hard to explain. You have to be there. So those of you who have never been to an art museum, um, which is odd to me, like why have you never been to an art museum? But then you're watching this show about like some dude drawing pictures. Go to an art museum, go to a gallery or something like that, and do exactly what I'm talking about. Like get as close to it that the security guards will let you, because they don't want you to be too close. They don't want you to like sneeze on the pictures and stuff like that. But oftentimes you can get pretty close. Get up close, look at these individual marks, and then try to imagine those marks being put there by the artists who did do them and stuff. And it is really this weird like time travel kind of mental time travel experience. It's fun, you know. Plus you'll have some fun. It's just cool going to art museums. I don't know. Like some people think they're boring, but I don't get it. I don't I don't get how somebody can be bored in an art museum. But maybe I'm just weird. I don't know. Like I said, I took my grandniece to I took my niece to an art museum. She didn't even know who Leonardo da Vinci was, but her daughter, my grandniece, uh, went to the same art museum and she was bored to tears. So maybe it is easy to be bored at an art museum. I don't know, but I don't get it. I love looking at like individual brushstrokes. Kevin says, oh, Lorraine says, I saw the Mona Lisa in Paris and it was amazing how her eyes follow you. That sounds amazing. That does sound cool. Yeah, I don't think I would ever leave the Louvre. If I ever went to visit the Louvre, I would just be there forever. Like that whole trip to Washington D.C., I was there for like a few days and I was trying to get as many of the Smithsonian museums in as I could. It didn't occur to me to like spend more time on the art museum as I wanted to. Like that was kind of an afterthought because I wanted to see all the science stuff. Now I kind of regret it because I feel like I could have spent more time at that art museum. But certainly the Louvre, oh, I would be in heaven. I would be there forever. The cabin says, not to mention when you turn the corner at the Chicago Art Institute in the A Sunday on Le Grand Jaunty, is there in your face. Amazing. Um, yeah, like, I don't know. You may not be into art, like, different people may not be into art, but art appreciation. Spend some time just like thinking about this kind of stuff because it is really cool. Spend some time. Don't so watch my show. All right, I really appreciate you guys watching my show, and I you know I feel so appreciative. I have to remember to say it every now and then because like I don't always do. But anyway, watch my show. But when you're done watching my show, go and watch one of these things. Great Art Explained is a good one. There's probably like some other channels that are kind of like that, but Great Art Explained I like because they really go into like the details of like these great art pieces of art and the people who made them. Like they give you like the social historical context of which when they were made. Like there's this whole thing behind Mark Rothko's paintings that I didn't know. In fact, I can't even like recall enough of it to be able to like quote it here. But I watched the one on like a Mark Rothko installation, not even just a single painting. He did like a whole room and stuff, and it was fascinating to hear the backstory to it. What is it? The Gustav Klimt or whatever, that famous Kiss painting and stuff. There's a whole story behind that kind of stuff. It's really interesting. So watch those shows. I think it's called Great Art Explained. It may be something similar to that. But if you Google, like if you YouTube that, you'll probably get along the right thing. But you know, watch it if you like documentaries. If you get bored with documentaries, you're not going to enjoy that channel. But I like it. I think it's kind of cool because they get into the weeds of some of these famous paintings and stuff. That the Wanderer, like I love this painting. It's a German painting, and it's kind of tough for me to mention it because like I don't want to get in trouble or get canceled or anything like that because the painting itself is beautiful. It features a Bavarian, probably German guy, looking out over this vastness of the mountains. He's got like I think a walking stick or something, but the mountains are all cloaked in fog and stuff. And you get this sense of just wonder as he's like, it's literally called the Wanderer, and you get the sense that he's like just an explorer of some sort. But anyway, it's a very moving piece. But then you start listening to the historical context of it and stuff, and apparently it has ties to Nazis and the whole German history, um, like at that time and stuff like that. And then you start wondering, like, should I really enjoy this painting? And I'll leave that up to you guys to decide and stuff. But that's the kind of historical context you get from watching these documentaries, the behind the scenes of these various paintings and stuff. It's very very interesting. And like I said, everybody's got famous artists, so look them up. They have a huge library at this point, but you'll probably find something on your favorite artist, and you know, I just think it's cool. I don't know, maybe it's not for everybody. Anyway, I think we got a bird here. We just need some tail feathers, so let me do that real quick. George Surratt, by the way, very cool. I really like street art for the same reasons. Um, like Banksy, obviously, but not just Banksy. There's like a lot of like lesser known people and stuff. I love that kind of stuff. Same deal. You're out just walking around. You're doing like some urban hiking, taking in the sights. I love urban hiking where you're surrounded by you're basically in concrete canyons, as I call them. Surrounded by a bunch of skyscrapers, things like that, and then you encounter a piece of art on the side of a building. It's like being in a art museum. In fact, whenever I go to a new town, that's the first thing I do is like, what's the street art in this area? Because like if you go to like a world city like New York or San Francisco or something like that, that's where I saw my first Banksy was in San Francisco. Um, you know, all that stuff is cataloged. Like people tell you where it's at. Oh, by the way, I switched pens. By the way, so I used to have a nice little brush pen, but again, I left the cap off and it dried out. But this one's like a chisel brush, which is a little weird for me, but I'm making it work. I wanted to switch to that so that I can kind of quickly get these tail feathers in. But yeah, because they're like so dark, Like if I tried to do this with the smaller pen, it would take forever. Woo, all done. Fuck Amazon. Yeah, I think you mentioned that before, Rum Dog, that you work for Amazon, uh, doing deliveries or something like that. That's probably gets really heated during the holidays and stuff coming up. Heated as in like you probably have a lot of work, probably like a lot of overtime. I don't know. I don't know how things work. Thank you for your service. Yeah, Amazon Flex, you drive your own car. I don't feel like delivery people get enough credit, Like people would see you as like, all right, well, yeah, make sure you deliver my stuff on time. But man, you're performing a essential service. So I for one appreciate it. Thank you for your service. Back to school, followed up by Prime Day. What are you in school for? Like, what are you studying? I think that's kind of stuff's fascinating. So you see that like I make like lines and that kind of cross hatch and stuff. It's just, visual details. Like you're gonna get enough information in there to convey that these are tail feathers without more stressing it and stuff. I'm just not phoning it in, but I'm less is more on these type of things. You do meet strange dogs. Yeah, I think I've told that story about my first job where I worked at Kentucky Fried Chicken. I was like 16 years old or something like that. I'm working at Kentucky Fried Chicken, and we would put like extra chicken on the the oven or like the fryer or whatever, um, because like the policy was that if there was anything left over, because they'd have to throw it away, you could take it home. So we would like throw extra chicken on or something like that. But anyway, I would be walking home because I was like 16. I didn't have a car or anything like that. And I'd walk by the neighbor's house and they had a dog, and that dog literally jumped the fence and chased me up. Like I was sitting on top of a car trying to hide from that dog because I smelled like chicken. Like that dog wanted to eat me because I smelled like Kentucky Fried Chicken. Oslo was the Amazon photo. It cracked me up. Nice. In the Amazon photo. Cute bird. Thank you, MJ. Yeah, as soon as I get this tail feather in here, I'm gonna try to get some color in. The color shouldn't take very long because it is watercolor, and we're just adding splotches of color just for emphasis. I'll see how it goes. I don't know. The idea is that we'd add some color and it would look cool, but I don't really know. So I want to just put in some like little dark areas so that things stand out. Like so this is a good. So see how nothing stands out here? It's hard to tell where the claws end and the branch begins, right? So you put in like these little shadow areas. You don't have to spend a lot of time on it because like it's not a focal point. Nobody's really looking at this stuff. But you put in like a little bit of shadow and it stands out. Now you can see that there are claws or whatever bird feet are. Um, talons. Was that line from Napoleon's like, do they have large talons? Did the dog catch me? No, the dog did not catch. Well, I don't know. It's kind of like obviously I'm not 16 anymore, so it was a while back, so it's hard for me to remember. In my mind, because I remember these shoes I had. So like it was KFC, so grease everywhere and stuff like that. They made you buy these no slick shoes, and of course I didn't have any money at 16, so it stands out in my mind that I had these shoes that I didn't want to buy. Um, so in my mind, I have this clear memory of wearing those shoes and the dog putting teeth marks in those shoes, like at the tip of it. But I don't know if that actually happened or if it's just the way I remember it. So in my mind, the dog was gnawing on the end of my shoes, but I don't know if that was actually true. You know, you don't go insane as you get older, but you start getting fuzzy memories, like where you're like, I don't remember if that's exactly how it happened or if that's just something I made up in my mind or not, you know. I don't have that kind of trust in my own memories from that far back, you know. I mean, I'm sure I'm kind of right on my memories, but I can't recall exactly. I had that experience recently when I think I mentioned this. My grandfather passed away a couple of weeks back, maybe a month or two now, and I went down to South Carolina for the funeral there, and this is a place that I had frequented a lot as a kid because like that's where most of my extended family is from. And it was so interesting walking around. It's a small little town. It's called Newberry, South Carolina. It's not, it's basically got like one light and stuff. It's got like a Walmart. That's about it. And anyway, I spent a lot of time there as a kid and stuff. And I have all these memories, um, like riding a bus to school and things like that. And like I can't trust whether or not those are accurate and true memories because it's been so long. In my mind, like driving around Newberry, I would see something and it would stand out to me, and I'd be like, "Oh, that's where you used to drive when I was in school and stuff." But I can't be sure of that, because so much time has passed. You just just kind of latch onto these memories and you hope that they're the gist of them is right, you know. Like I don't believe that memories hold up well over time. You know, it's just the way the brain works. So I don't trust these things as completely accurate. Um, I always thought it'd be cool to keep a journal, and I kind of feel like it's almost too late, but maybe it's not. To like document things so that you do have like an accurate memory, you know, keeping a record and stuff like that. I support that if anybody is so inclined, because you do start to wonder over time, like, am I remembering that accurate? That's why it's always nice to have like relatives and friends and things like that. They help you with you know, your recollection because you know, I went down there for that funeral and I'm down there with you know, cousins of mine. My brother went with me, things like that. So you're able to compare your memories to others. So, you know, relatives are shared connection to your memories, I think. But anyway, all right. So I'm gonna add some color to this. I think I don't know how this is gonna go, and I'm not trying to like really spend a lot of time on this color. I just want to kind of get a little bit of color in there. So I've got, you know, got my little plate here. I just added a little bit of like, yeah, this is yellow ochre. Add a little bit of red to it. See how this kind of goes in. And again, I don't really want to get crazy with it, but I do want to add a little bit to this bird breast so that you know what kind of bird it is just from the color. I feel like that's important, right? So I'm always talking about what your job is as an artist, and I always talk about how well can't use that brush. I always talk about like the minimal thing that you do as an artist is that you have to convey information. So in this case, I can't convey what kind of bird this is without color. So, and again, I don't want to use like a lot of water because like this is not watercolor paper. It's just mixed media paper. So it might be a little bit yellow. I'm mixing my colors here. I'm not very good at that kind of stuff, but I think I'll be all right. So I'm gonna just start with this and then kind of go from there. So obviously you want to like let your ink dry a little bit. This is like ink wash, I think that, or ink and wash. I think that's what they call it. But you want to let your ink dry a little bit before you come in and do this stuff. But again, if I'm keeping my brush kind of dry, so I'm not adding like a lot of water, so I don't anticipate it warping or anything like that. Probably could let this ink dry a little bit because I can see that it's smearing a little bit. But that's okay because it's adding to my color. And I don't need to go overboard. I just want to get a little bit of color in here. So I want to get a little bit black as well. Rockin' Robin. I love it. There's a there's a restaurant chain around. I don't know if like you guys have it in your area, but we have it here called Red Robin. They make the best burgers. Like they make these gourmet burgers. They're so much, it's so good. They also have like a Guinness ice cream milkshake, which is just amazing to me. The app tells you that there's a danger dog. That's amazing. I like that. So I'm going to darken in some of this area in the there. Shh. You're okay, dog. And darken some of this stuff in the face. And I'm going to bring that through here. I'm going to leave this a little bit light, but I'm going to do the outside edges. Again, this is just subtle color. It's not like I'm going crazy with this. I just kind of want to emphasize what kind of bird this is, you know. All over green to the tail feathers just because I think it's reflecting. Sorry, I think the tail feathers are kind of reflecting the grass around it or something. So there's like this little bit of green I'm seeing. I'm not perfect on like matching colors here. I'm not too worried about it. It's all just the gist of it. But I kind of want to get a little bit of green into those tail feathers. You're okay, dog. Give me a little bit. All right. I gotta get the birdie done. You know those birdies that you see out in the front yard? That's what I'm drawing. Your breath stinks, dude. Can I give you a mint? Like, seriously, you need to brush your teeth, buddy. You gotta brush your teeth. I mean, jeez, dog. I'll paint you next. I promise. Like this dog. I want to get like a little bit of the green into this wing as well, just because. A little awkward. That dog's getting a little friendly with me. All right. So that's good. Again, I'm not even washing my brush because all these colors can just kind of like flow together. I don't mind that it has a little bit of green in it. And a little bit, whoops, a little bit much. Actually, let me clean my brush a little bit. I don't want a lot of green in that. All right, so like a little bit of this brown, a little bit of this black, a little bit more brown. Yeah, I get some eye in here. And that's a little bit dark, but that's okay. We'll clean it up here in a minute. Come back to his breast. Want to get some yellow in the beak. Got to pet Jax today. Who's Jax? Is that like a dog? You were talking about getting a new dog, Roan Dog. Um, that ever work out? Are you still considering that? I think you should. You seem like the kind of guy that should always have a pet of some sort, like a little dog companion as you're running around delivering those packages. Just trying to get some yellow in that beak. All right. Okay, I think that looks good. I'll come back to his face, his eye here in a minute. I want to kind of let that dry a little bit. Let me go back to his little breast down here. I want to get some more darker browns up in here. All this bird painting is Robin Bear of that. Yeah, Robin Bear. I like that. That's hilarious. Yeah, Bear loves me. Like, it's uncomfortable the amount of adoration that dog has for me. She's such a sensitive soul. Like Bear is so like I have never met a dog as as sensitive as she is. She is so afraid of everything. Like if somebody comes to the door or something, she runs upstairs and hides and stuff. She has no reason to be afraid of anything, but she's constantly afraid of everything. I feel so bad for her. Like she basically lives her life in fear. I don't know why. No one's ever treated her bad, so I don't know where that comes from. Um, but her safe space is with me, and it's a lot of responsibility because like I don't feel like I deserve it. But I am her safe spot. Whenever Daddy's around, she's feel safe. Um, I don't know. I think it's kind of cute, but I feel bad for her. Gonna get some of that dark out of this. There you go. Get some real color up in there. I was a little worried that it was too subtle. Because like the whole thing about it, like a robin is the red breast. You know, without the red breast, it's really hard to kind of convince somebody that this is a robin. kind of lightly up here. All right, so that's pretty good, I think. I did want to maybe get a little bit of red in there along the side. I know, like not all these colors really show up well on my camera, and I do apologize about that. But in person, this looks pretty good. It's got the colors I was shooting for. All right, so that's pretty good. So I wanted to dress this eye now that it's kind of had a moment to dry. So like earlier, I put in the eyeball and stuff. I always plan to come back and add like a highlight over it. So I'm gonna do that now. This is like using my gel pen to kind of come back over it and put some of that white area in. So I think that looks better. And now that that's in there, I can kind of go back and clean up some of this stuff. I wanted to make that a little bit more perfect. Anyway, I think we're getting pretty close to being done here. Guinness probably bullies her when you're not around. So the funny thing is, I can't picture them not together, like her and Guinness. They are the perfect brother and sister. They're how you would want your own kids to be. Um, they're constantly around each other. Like Bear is the youngest, even though she's the biggest. She came, I don't know, 2, 3 years after Guinness. So Guinness is an old man by comparison. I still consider Bear to be like a younger dog. Probably not. I have this weird distortion, I think, where I think all my pets are younger than they actually are. But Guinness was around first, so she looks up to Guinness. Basically, Guinness is her idol. Um, like you would expect in a family where I don't know, like a brother and a sister are and stuff like that, and maybe like the older sibling the other one looks up to and stuff. So that's the dynamic there. I can't picture them separated, honestly. Like that would be so sad. That would break my heart if one of them passed away and the other had to go through life without the other because they are so tight. They're um, such a good combination like that, you know. Uh, but yeah, Guinness probably does torture her when I'm not looking. All right, so I think that's good. I think I'm gonna add a little bit of color to this branch down here just so that it doesn't look so weird by itself. And for that, I think I'm gonna like have like really washed out like black or so that I kind of get this gray. Hopefully, that's probably a bit much. Hopefully that dries light. Just wanted I don't want it to be too dark. I just kind of want to add a little bit of shadow through these areas here. The great thing about watercolor is you can kind of like mop up parts like that, which is good. All right, and use that technique a little bit up in here just to kind of smooth some things out, kind of blend it a little bit. And then I think we're pretty close to being done. Just kind of want to soften some of that stuff up because it looked a little blotchy, you know. Like I want you to see that it's red, but it's not all red. It's actually reflecting some light and stuff like that. Okay, a little bit of consistency. Sorry, talking to myself a little bit here. All right, so I think that feels good. Maybe a little bit of shadow, enhanced shadows. So I talked about how like when you're drawing with pen, you can't really get like large swaths of area. So if you're doing pen with watercolor, that's where you do that's where the watercolor really comes in. You can do like large areas that way. So I've seen people do it both ways. So like I've seen people come in and they add watercolor and then come back and add ink later. I can see the benefit of that. So like if that's better for you, feel free to do that. I just like to draw So I like to draw my picture first and then come back in and add color. You don't have to do it that way. It's just the way I do it. But you can see, like, obviously, pen and watercolor go really well together. They complement each other really good. No, you get something that looks kind of realistic. To me, this doesn't look too cartoonish, which is really like the risk that you run when you do this. Like, it's very easy to make something that looks like you know, it's just outlined or something. Like you get the cartoonish look. Um, oh, MJ's yeah. Thank you, MJ. I appreciate it. And yeah, I'm probably gonna call this pretty soon anyway, so you're not missing much. But I appreciate you hanging out with me. Almost done here, guys. Just kind of going over some of these areas that I already did just to kind of fill in the blanks, I think. With a really dry brush, by the way. Like I know I mentioned that before, but I'm re-emphasizing it here because like this is mixed media paper, so it's not going to absorb as much as like actual watercolor paper. You can use watercolor paper, but your ink work is going to be a little bit tough because you're going to be like on textured paper. Anyway, I think this guy looks pretty good. Pretty happy with it. Yeah, the only thing I'd probably do at this point is start over. I'm just kidding. No, I think it looked good. All right, good enough for me. So I do think that we're probably about done here. I think the only things that I could do really is kind of come back over it with some ink in some areas, kind of like really add some contrast in some areas, kind of like really bring out this area around his eye, for example. Sorry, every time I say that I'm done with something, I think like, oh, I can make some improvements. So bear with me 1 second, we're almost done. Really emphasize these features around the eye, kind of like I want the eye to stand out. And these big thick like ink strokes and stuff like that, that helps to kind of like define features a little bit better than just kind of like leaving them to the small pen marks. Sorry, I know that I'm not making very much sense, but yeah. All right, so now I think that that eye or that face kind of stands out a little bit better, and consequently the eye does. So that's pretty good. Um, maybe down here. Again, the more dark areas that you add, the more contrast it is, and it kind of helps direct the eye and kind of define features throughout. So, but I think this looks good. All right, cool. All right, so I do think that we're about done. So we've got like a red robin here, kind of subtle on the red, but that's how the reference art is. You know, it's not like he has a bright red, like fire truck engine red breast. He just has kind of like this brownish, reddish color. Um, this looks like the guy who's been eating out of my bird feeder, which is awesome. I might actually put this out front by the bird feeder and see if he thinks he's looking in a mirror. Don't test me. I might actually do that. So get this eye a little bit more around. Yeah, that looks pretty good actually. Just that little bit, I think, improves making that eye look more realistic. That looks pretty good. All right, I think I'm gonna call this done. Anyway, I appreciate it, Kevin. Thanks. Thanks, kid. Thanks, Lorraine. Thanks, MJ. Thanks, Rum Dog. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me on this Thursday night. Again, you know, the best thing about Thursday, you go to bed. You know, here on the East Coast, it's getting to be about bedtime. You go to bed, and you wake up tomorrow, and it's going to be Friday. So With that in mind, I hope you guys have a great weekend. I hope you guys stay safe. Hopefully the weather is done doing the crazy stuff that it's been doing. If you guys do live in one of the affected areas, you know, I'm sorry that you guys have to go through that stuff. Hopefully you guys can, you know, find some sort of peace and solace and community and all that jazz. But anyway, the kid says put a worm in his beak. I could probably do that. I'm gonna have to think about that. But yeah. All right. So anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. This, you know, it's a little bit different than what I usually do. I don't work with ink and watercolor that much, so hopefully it was kind of interesting to you guys. But I will be back on Tuesday. Hopefully you guys have a great weekend. I will see you guys then. Have a good one. Thanks. Stay awesome.